Welcome into College Football Breakdown, where we bring Joe Lisi in to go over some college football action for Rivalry weekend. He's been really good against the spread, 33-20, also one tie on the year. So he's been hot, making money for the watchers off of a 2-3 week, however, so in bounce back mode. But let's welcome him in. Joe Lisi, how you doing today, buddy?
This is what it's all about, Drew. Week number 13, the week final stretch run before conference championships will really separate the contenders from the pretenders this coming Saturday.
Absolutely. Rivalry weekend, some big matchups, whether you're talking Iron Bowl, Apple Cup, Egg Bowl, it's all happening this weekend. We got some matchups here to break down, hopefully make the watchers some money. We'll start off. We got a Friday game, actually, Joe. 8 p.m. on Fox, a big one in Texas. Texas Tech at Texas. Texas laying 10 at home, 55 the total. How you looking to bet it?
Yeah, I like the Texas Longhorns in this matchup, Drew. They've won 4 of the last 5 over the Red Raiders by 15.7 points per game. They picked up this matchup last year in Lubbock by a score of 45-37. You look at Texas last week, a solid performance on the road in Morgantown. I picked them over the Mountaineers. They didn't disappoint, even though Will Grier was injured in the first half of that ball game. Defensively, they really made West Virginia's offense one-dimensional, held them to 56 rushing yards on the ground. You look at Texas Tech, they're fighting to become bowl eligible, sitting at 5-6 overall. But this is a team now that really has lost 5 of the last 6 games and have been outscored during that stretch in those losses by a total score of 195-113 or 16.7 points per game. You look at their coach, Cliff Kingsbury, over the last 3.5 years in Big 12 play, they are 11-24, which is 314 winning percentage. Now, I think it comes down to Texas's ability to stretch Texas Tech's defense that's given up 280 passing yards per game. But more importantly, you look at the Red Raiders overall, they're allowing opposing offenses to convert 43% on third down conversions. Over the last 2 games, it's 48%. 15 of 31. I think that's the matchup that you want to see play out in Austin. And I think Texas is the more complete team at this point in the season. Offensively, Texas is rushing for 144 yards on the ground. They picked up 233 rushing yards against West Virginia last week. And more importantly, they're passing for 266 yards through the air. Defensively as well, Texas, in my opinion, is the more solid team, holding opposing offenses to 109 rushing yards on the ground. The weakness is the secondary, giving up 251 passing yards to opposing offenses. But I really feel it comes down to the front seven's ability to pressure Nick Shimanek in this ballgame. You look at Texas overall, they do have 27 total sacks on the year, and more importantly, 6 total sacks over the last couple of games. And they're rock solid in third down defense, holding opposing offenses to 27% on third down conversions. Tom Herman, in my opinion, is the better coach. Texas is already bowl eligible, getting the victory last week. They're at home. I think they play loose in this ballgame. All the pressure is on Texas Tech, and I think Texas dominates this matchup. I think they get a convincing 35-17 win over the Red Raiders this coming weekend.
On to the Saturday slate. We got a big one starting at 12 noon in the Big Ten. Ohio State versus Michigan. Looks like Ohio State's laying 12 at 5 dimes, 11.5 at Heritage. So if you're looking to bet Michigan, use the SBR odds screen because you can go to 5 dimes and catch 12 points. Put that in your pocket. On the other side of it, Ohio State minus 11.5 at 5 dimes, or at Heritage, excuse me. That's the book you want to be using if looking to bet the Buckeyes. Either way, total of 50. Joe, how are you looking to bet this one?
Yeah, I like the underdog in this matchup. Now, the series has been dominated by Ohio State over the last 5 games. They've won 5 straight over the Wolverines by 10.4 points per game. Got this victory last year in Columbus, 30-27 in overtime. A lot of controversy surrounding that ball game, and Ohio State seems to be the hotter team heading into this ball game, coming off a dominating home win over Illinois, while Michigan struggled on the road last week against top-ranked Wisconsin, jumped up 7-0 and lost that matchup 24-10. But I really feel it favors Michigan's defense in this ball game and their ability to make JT Barrett beat them over the top. Now, you look look at Michigan entering this matchup. They have the number 1 ranked third down defense in college football, holding opposing offenses to 24% on third down conversions. They're only allowing 114 rushing yards per game and only 145 passing yards to opposing offenses. But over the last 4 games, they're holding opposing offenses to only 119 passing yards through the air. I think that's the matchup you want to see play out. I still like the front 7 of Michigan, led by Rashawn Gary, that has 36 total sacks on the year, and a lot of pressure, in my opinion, on Urban Meyer and Ohio State. A lot of talk has been said about Ohio State possibly being a college football playoff team if they win this ball game and then knock off Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship game. I see the pressure all being on Urban Meyer and the crew, even though there's pressure on Jim Harbaugh to win a big battle against the better teams in the Big Ten. I think he's got the better defense entering this ball game. You look at Ohio State's offense, they're rushing for 253 yards on the ground. They're passing for 292 through the air, but I still feel Michigan can wear down their front 7, get them into an ugly, low-scoring game. This is a Michigan offense that's still rushing for 195 yards on the ground. I know they have quarterback concerns, but I think they're able to get Ohio State into that ugly game, force some turnovers, and I'm calling for the upset. Michigan 17, Ohio State 13 in the Big House.
Damn, taking a stand there, Joe. I like it. On Michigan, he likes them outright for record-keeping purposes. We'll take the 12 at 5 dimes. So Joe Lisi on Michigan plus 12 at 5 dimes. Also got another one in the Big Ten, 12 noon start, so same time, same conference. Looks like we got Indiana at Purdue. Looks like Purdue's laying 2.5 at Chris, 3 at Bet Online. Which way are you looking to bet this one, Joe?
Well, this is an intriguing battle. Indiana's won the last 4 over the Boilermakers by 11.7 points per game. They got this victory last year in Bloomington in a tight battle, 26-24. Both teams are sitting at 5-6, so whoever wins this matchup will become bowl eligible. So both teams will be into this ball game. You look at Indiana overall; they're coming off a dominating home win over Rutgers, 41-0, when Purdue had a rock-solid road victory over Iowa, 24-15. In my opinion, I think Purdue has the better defense heading into this ballgame. You look at Purdue overall, they're holding opposing offenses to 134 rushing yards on the ground. Over the last 4 games, Drew, against Illinois, Nebraska, Northwestern, and Iowa, they've only given up 74 rushing yards per game. And you look at Indiana's offense over the last 6 games, a one-dimensional offense. Indiana's only rushing over the last 6 games for 115.5 yards on the ground per game. I think Purdue is able to make Indiana one-dimensional. Purdue does have 11 total sacks over the last 3 games. They're +3 in turnover margin and are going up against an Indiana offensive line that has allowed 26 total sacks on the year. Now, you look at Indiana's defense heading into this ballgame, they're allowing 150 yards per game on the ground to opposing offenses, giving up only 175 passing yards to opposing offenses through the air and quarterbacks. But Elijah Sindelar, over the last couple of weeks, named the starter by Jeff Brom, has played very well over the last couple of games. He's completed 60 of 98 passes. That's 61%. 627 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. That was against Northwestern and Iowa, 2 of the better defenses within the Big Ten this year. I also like the way Purdue is playing against the better teams, Northwestern and Iowa, solid rushing attacks. They held Iowa to 82 rushing yards on the ground. The week prior, they held Northwestern to 94 rushing yards. I think this is a rock-solid defense in Purdue. They have the better head coach. I like Jeff Brom over Tom Allen. And another factor as well, Indiana on the road. I don't like that matchup because they're turnover prone. Indiana entering this ballgame is -7 in turnover margin. You need to shut down the run and win the turnover battle, especially on the road. I think that favors Purdue at home. I think they get a gutty 27-14 win over Indiana, become bowl eligible at 6-6 on the year.
All right, Joe, liking Purdue, you can catch a -2.5. This is an important game, guys, to shop around using SBR odds screen because you don't want to be laying the full field goal. You can get Purdue -2.5 at Chris. So using bookmaker right now on the SBR odds screen. Moving to the 3:30 slate, this one on ABC, staying in the Big Ten actually. Wisconsin at Minnesota. Looks like Wisconsin's laying 17. Some shops got it 17.5, 43 the total. Joe, we're staying in the Big Ten. You've gone with 3 home teams so far. You going to stay with the home team in this one?
I am. Now, Wisconsin's dominated the series, Drew. They've won 13 straight over Minnesota. The last victory by the Golden Gophers came in November 2003 by a score of 37-34. Wisconsin coming off back-to-back emotional home wins over Iowa and last week against Michigan, and now have to go on the road to a rival that they've dominated in recent years over the last decade, but a Minnesota team that's sitting at 5-6 overall, looking to become bowl eligible. I think that's the key in this matchup. Now, you look at Minnesota from a defensive perspective, they're holding opposing offenses to 179 passing yards per game. I think when you look at Wisconsin over the last 4 ball games, they're only averaging 145 passing yards per game, 5 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. They do have the Big Ten championship game on deck against Ohio State. When you look at Wisconsin overall from an offensive perspective, on the year, they're converting 50% of their third down conversions. But over the last couple of games against Iowa and Michigan, they've only converted 10 of 28 third downs. That's 35%. Going on the road to face a solid Minnesota secondary that can make them one-dimensional in this ballgame. Now, when you look at the Minnesota offense, they're a one-dimensional offense as well. They're struggling to stretch defenses vertically, only passing for 133 yards through the air, but they do have a mobile quarterback in Dimmery Croft. This is an offense in Minnesota that's averaging 196 yards on the ground. They have a solid running back in Rodney Smith, but Wisconsin as a whole hasn't played a mobile quarterback all season long like Dimmery Croft. I think he will be able to put pressure on Wisconsin's defense on the perimeter. He'll be able to make enough plays to open up play action. In the end, I think Wisconsin wins a very close ball game. PJ Fleck just got a contract extension through 2023. He understands this rivalry, what it means to Minnesota. I think he pulls out all the stops. Wisconsin remains unbeaten, but it is very, very close in Minnesota. Wisconsin 30, Golden Gophers 27. Take the 17 with Minnesota in this ballgame.
Okay, and we can actually catch this 17.5 at 5 dimes. So Minnesota plus 17.5 for Joe Lisi in this one. We got one more for you. West Virginia versus Oklahoma on ESPN, same time frame, around the 3:30 start time. Looks like Oklahoma's laying 22.5, total of 68. Let's finish it off in the Big 12, Joe. How you betting this one?
Well, Baker Mayfield will not start this game. Oklahoma has dominated the series, winning 5 straight over West Virginia by 14 points per game. They got this victory last year in Morgantown by a score of 56-28. Chris Chugginoff now gets the start. He played well in mop-up duty against Texas last week. He completed 14 to 26 passes, 189 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. But he still has a big play trio of wide receivers. David Sills, he's got White and Jennings. That trio is combined for 206 receptions, 2,889 yards, 30 receiving touchdowns. I think they can make enough plays to put pressure on Oklahoma's defense to stretch them vertically. This is an Oklahoma defense that's giving up 250 passing yards per game, but more importantly, over the last couple of weeks, Drew, they only have 3 total sacks. If Chugginoff is allowed to make his reads and progressions without a pass rush, I think he could find those trio of wide receivers, keep Baker Mayfield in that offense on the sidelines, and I think West Virginia does push Oklahoma to the limit. In the end, Baker Mayfield will come off from the sidelines. He'll make enough plays to lead Oklahoma to the victory, but I think it's very close. 31-21. Oklahoma gets this victory in Norman Saturday afternoon.
I like it, Joe. So going with 2 big dogs to finish it out. Just in recap with Joe Lisi's breakdown. Again, he's 33-20. Make sure to follow him on Twitter as well, @GoForThe2. Great follow, especially on Saturdays. And now we'll have it this Friday, too, with a full college football slate. But West Virginia, plus 22.5. We got Minnesota, plus 17.5. We got Purdue -2 in the hook. Catch that one at Bookmaker. Michigan +11.5. And the Friday night game, Texas -10 at home. So, Joe, anything else before we get to rivalry weekend?
No, this is what it's all about, Drew. Love the show. Wish you and your family a very happy Thanksgiving. This is what it's all about. Turkey and football doesn't get better than this, does it?
No, not at all. And we got the Egg Bowl starting on Thursday night. So happy Thanksgiving to you and your family as well, Joe, and all the watchers and listeners out there. Thank you for tuning in. Happy Thanksgiving to you. For SBR, I'm Drew Martin. He's Joe Lisi.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now, we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.